Don't forget to support us on Facebook by going to www.facebook.com/UKRAD podcast. You can also follow us on Twitter at UKRAD podcast, and you can also find us at Spreaker on www.spreaker.com/RAD podcast. And now we are on iTunes. So just search for us on iTunes and we'll appear. You can find The Lost Art of Podcasting also on iTunes, but you can also support them by going to www.facebook.com/Lost Art of Podcasting, and you can also follow them on Twitter at Lost Art Podcast. They also have a spin-off show called The Lost Art of Wrestling, and you can support them at www.facebook.com/Lost Art of Wrestling. You can also follow our friends at Mystery Island by going to www.facebook.com/back2 the island, and you can also follow the sponsor of the PCW Prediction League by Avant-Garde Security, and you can find them at www.avantgarde-security.co.uk. They specialise in static security, shop security, and home and business CCTV. So if your business needs a little bit of beefing up in the security, or you just want to make your home a little bit safer, please go over to www.avantgarde-security.co.uk. Now it's back to the RAD podcast.
The RAD podcast is intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi and welcome to this bonus episode of the RAD podcast, random ass discussion. But the random ass discussion isn't going to be so random this time, because we've just got off watching the WWE UK Championship Tournament. You'll have to forgive me because I'm more likely to fuck up because I've had quite a few cans of beer. So I'm Paul, and joining me this bonus episode, we have Darren Truby.
Hi.
Who's sharing the same mic as me, for once, so he doesn't sound like he's from the other side of the world.
Well, I am looking to go to this new place called Moustache Mountain. Apparently a lot of people are from there, and I'd like to go. All will be revealed later.
And joining us is the lost one that seems to be so lost that he decided to find a new home here. It's Adam Cox.
Uh-huh.
How are you doing anyway?
I'm not too bad.
Are you still on a high after tonight?
Just, a high from today, if anything. I went and watched PCW earlier today, and then sort of got home, sat down for an hour, and then put the network on and caught the UK Championship.
This is in Blackpool's basically Blackpool's just had a feast of wrestling this weekend. You know, namely Preston City Wrestling in the afternoons, and then we have WWE in the evenings. I mean, think about it. About 2 years ago, would you have thought that a WWE event would have been held in Blackpool?
Never.
Never mind a pseudo pay-per-view, and not only that, the pay-per-view, the first pay-per-view of the year, in basically what we're knocking on the door of the WrestleMania season. So. True. Yeah, I mean, literally 2 weeks away, you're on the road to WrestleMania.
It's mental.
It is absolutely crazy, and like I say, I'm sat currently 5 minutes away from Central Pier, so we're talking 20 minutes from the venue, and I couldn't get a fucking ticket!
Oh, well, I'd like to say it was really good on the first night when I went. Got a seat upgrade and everything.
Well, this is it. Just so to explain this, Darren managed to get tickets for the first night, which was obviously the first round of 16, and the Jammy Bastard managed to get a seat upgrade.
Yes, they moved one of the cameras last minute, and they said, "Oh, I'll take you down to the floor," and took us down. Back 5th row from the front, next to the bar. I was like, can't ask better tickets than that.
Yeah, the Jammy Bastard basically got elevated seats just above the heads of the people sat in front of him. So basically he had glorified stadium seating 5 rows back from the ring, right in front of the entrance ramp.
Nice.
So you couldn't, honestly, apart from ringside, that's what I call the jackpot seats. And he basically was paying for a seat in the bleachers. So
it's weird in the way though how they basically had sold each event separately.
It is.
Sort of selling like a joint ticket for both nights or something.
Well, I think it's the only questionable thing I found that they did, because obviously you could have done. They sold each ticket separately, so you couldn't say buy a Saturday ticket and then use it to try and get yourself a ticket for Sunday. You had to buy them separately. Whereas for me, the more logical thing to do would have been sell tickets separately for Saturday and sell tickets separately for Sunday, but also have a package available. So you could go and see the Saturday and the Sunday shows, but obviously pay one price at a slightly discounted rate, or keep it the same rate and throw in a meet and greet.
It's a weird one to. There'll be some sort of logic to it that they have, but
money.
It's probably money, but then it's sort of at the same time, it's like you could have sold a duo ticket or something.
This is it, but at the same time, sorry, go on, mate.
I was going to say, like, if it was like charging £25 a ticket, or whatever, they could have done like 2 for £50, and that gets you your same seat or whatever for the following night.
Yeah, this is it. At the same time, it's also giving chance for people who possibly couldn't afford that to actually be able to go and say, look, I can afford one day, and potentially get decent seats for it. Because I'm not being funny, but people, if you're going to pay front row for first night, you're going to pay front row for second night. Do you know what I mean? You're going to pay as a package, and you will get that. Speaking of front row, for tonight, our good friend Michael Delaney got us on hard cam on the front row. Wearing loud and proud, wearing a pink Chris Travis t-shirt. So, yeah, he wasn't there, physically, but he was there in spirit, Chris Travis. So, rest in peace. Definitely a nice little tribute in a not in a backward kind of way, but it was nice. It was nice to see, and I credit Michael Delaney for that massively. So, yeah, kudos. Probably never listen to this podcast, but yeah, there you go. So overall,
tune in once you give him a mention in the messages.
Yes, I'll give him a mention. I'll tag him. When I share it, I'll tag him. So what did you think overall of the? Before we break it down, what did you think of it overall as the 2 nights overall as a package?
I've not had a chance to watch night 1 yet. I just read sort of the quick results.
Yeah, all right. Going by night 2 then. Night
2 was very good. In terms of the actual thing, it's like sort of them saying like hyping William Regal's had it planned in the pipeline for like 6 months or whatever, and it was very well done. It's good to see it in Blackpool rather than in Manchester or London where it could have been.
I think Darren might have a bit of background information on that, because he did tell me before, but I think it'd be fairer to let him explain it rather than me, because he obviously got the information source. So,
well, what I believe is 6 months ago or so, I think William Regal was doing his speaking tour here, and one of our friends said that they had Sam Gradwell and I think it was Tyler Bates or James Drake, and they were in the meeting with him about it, talking all about that.
I see.
But apparently the reason Triple H said that he chose Blackpool was basically on the back of the NXT show that was here, because all the fan reaction videos, probably about 90% of all the fan reaction videos that came from that NXT tour in 2015 were from the Empress Ballroom in Blackpool. Namely, the case in point was the Jason Jordan and Chad Gable chant, basically. So that basically pretty much won us the UK Championship. Otherwise, I could imagine it somewhere like in the O2 Arena in London or something like that.
For me, I don't think they wanted to do it in a big arena. Not that it wouldn't sell out, it just they wanted, like I said, it felt like an indie show. But then, when you looked at it, it was WWE and it had a real... the ring looked like it was Raw's ring and...
Well, this is it. I actually made this point before. You know, if you look at posts on Facebook and you look at it just as it looks, the rest, you know, the hard cam footage, it does genuinely just look like a Monday Night Raw. That's the production value that they put into it. But at the same time, I can see where Darren's coming from, because why they wouldn't put it in a big arena. Because let's be honest, what's the biggest arena that British wrestling has managed to sell out in the past 20 years? And that was ICW in the Hydro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many does the Hydro hold? Roughly, can you imagine?
A full capacity, 15, 20,000.
Exactly. So you're thinking that's the maximum you can probably get in there. So you're thinking they're not going to gamble on people that potentially casual WWE fans may not have heard of. So put them in a small to average sized arena and sell it out. And it looks better on camera when there's not an empty seat. I mean, would you put 3,000 people in Wembley Stadium, or would you put 3,000 people in a building designed to hold 3,000 people? What looks better? So,
which I think Empress Ballroom, I think is it 1,800 capacity or something?
Depends on what you do, but obviously the ring takes up a lot of room, what have you. But they sold 3,000 tickets on altogether for one night, 3,000 tickets for the night after, so it was 6,000 altogether. And it still astonishes me that they managed to sell that out in 8 hours. They sold it in 8 hours, which is absolutely phenomenal, which shows you the popularity of British wrestling.
Certainly does.
I think some of it is they've gone because it was partially because it was the WWE name. It's like I was on the bus last night coming back from Manchester, and there was a lad and dad got on the bus, and I saw that the son had an Ambrose Asylum t-shirt on.
Oh yeah.
So it's I think he's gone. He's sort of gone. Oh well, Dad, there's a WWE show coming at Blackpool again. Can we go and watch it? Sort of thing. Like, but never seen a UK show in his life. Mm.
This is win-win. This is where it becomes a win-win situation all around, because obviously you're going to get your hardcore British fans going because there's British wrestlers there like Pete Dunne, like Tyler Bate, like Wolfgang. These hardcore British independent wrestling fans will have heard of, will admire, and will go and see, regardless of what promotion they're in and where they're wrestling and what they're doing. But you're also dragging in your casual fans because they see the WWE name. Mm. So they're thinking, oh, WWE, who's going to be there potentially? And if the casuals did come, they got a massive treat, because not only did they get Triple H, they got William Regal, they got
Finn Balor,
they got Neville at the end of the day, and we saw the debut of Tommy End.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a win-win all round for the casuals, and obviously you got the who's who of British wrestling, apart from Fludder, who was in the, basically you had Dallas there, you had the lead promoters, I can't remember the names, of Progress, you had other people there. For some reason you had fucking Darren Fletcher zoomed in on for some reason. You had the...
Because he was with one of the Crabtree's son or grandson.
The nephew, I think, of Shirley Crabtree, who's better known as Big Daddy.
The Progress owns the Jim, John and Glenn.
Yes.
But I did hear some people were tweeting last night. It's like people were tweeting Dallas is sat in front of me and stuff. So
yeah, that'll be our friend Simon. He was sat literally about 3 rows behind Dallas.
And the Hydro can hold 13,000.
There you go. And they sold that out. So you're not going to stick that in the MEN or something like that. So, yeah, it makes sense to put it in a smaller arena to dip the toe in the water. The fact that they know now that they can sell out more potentially could put them in bigger arenas, but at the same time, it does make me worry a little bit as being obviously a Sangro. Well, I'd like to think it's Sangro, and I'm actually not. I found out the other day. But as a resident of Blackpool, it does slightly concern me a little bit that they may pull shows away from Blackpool. You know, I'd like to see. I'd like to think. The Empress Ballroom could potentially now be the Hammerstein Ballroom of the Brit Rest world.
Yeah.
It does have a passing. Yeah, it does have a sort of passing resemblance.
What,
Doesn't it?
the full sale?
The only replaces really that other smaller venues, like towns and cities have like O2s.
Yeah.
It's like if you look at any sort of wrestling show in Manchester, that's like a smaller show. They're not doing the MEN, they're doing the O2 Apollo.
Yeah, or they're in the where PCW ran.
Brits even.
Yeah, places like that. Or where PCW ran, I can't remember what it was fucking called. The Union or something.
Yeah, Manchester Met.
Yeah.
Which again, not really that big, and I doubt you'd get NXT to go there.
No, you got to think about it as well. With it being, if they're going to run a show on the network, it's obviously going to have an American standard size ring, aren't they? For their
24, yeah.
Yeah, so you're going to be taking a couple of rows out just for that alone. So you're obviously going to fit less people in.
There's that, but then you've also got to figure out all the production and stuff like that, because like the amount of stuff no doubt brought in. They'll be using different areas of the Winter Gardens for dressing rooms and production and stuff like that.
Yeah, you have a stage and everything, aren't you? So, and a ramp and things like that. So there's a lot to think of. I'd probably say at the minute, the Empress Ballroom is probably the smallest venue they possibly could afford to run. If I'm honest, obviously the interest that's going to be generated now, I'd say that's probably the smallest venue they could run.
Yeah.
So go on, mate.
I was just going to say, sort of getting to, I think there's going to be, eventually you're going to see sort of that, because I know we've heard from one of our sort of sources that they have sort of a 3-year deal with the Winter Gardens.
Yeah, sort of. I can't mention names, obviously.
Yeah, well, that guy, what's he called?
Joe Bloggs.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
He runs with other guy, John Smith.
Yeah.
I thought it was a girl.
Jack Smith, then.
What happens if it's a girl?
Jackie Smith.
When there's like WrestleMania weekend, and there's companies, all the companies try and run in that same sort of area. So you'll have like Ring of Honor, you'll have Jakara, you'll have CDW, you'll have Evolve, you'll have Dragon Gate, you'll have Noah, you'll have Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, all trying to run shows in that same sort of area.
Yeah.
Just to try and capitalise on the fact WrestleMania's there, and there's going to be X amount of thousands of people there.
Probably usually the same state, isn't it, rather than town, usually.
Because sort of WWE tries to put a ban on companies doing it from being so close to them within a certain sort of radius or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think the same thing could eventually happen for sort of Blackpool and the surrounding area.
Well, this is it.
So,
thing is, where would you run a show in Blackpool? I mean, PCW run Club Domain, but I can't think of anywhere else that you could run a wrestling venue.
Only place really would be a couple of places come to mind.
Well, you got the Tower Circus, haven't you? But that,
it'd have to be out of season.
Yeah.
Unless they had a sort of pre-planned thing with the tower before, and they sort of say, "Well, we want to run a show on this night or on this afternoon or whatever," and then you just sort of you'd be expanding out to like church halls and stuff like that. Like
this is it.
Yeah. The All Saints, I think is it All Saints Church Hall near Asda?
Yeah.
You could possibly run a small show there, and then you sort of be expanding out to towns and stuff. Like you'd be looking at sort of like probably Preston and stuff like that, unless there was like an outdoor show, possibly.
No, I was just thinking maybe St John's Square in Blackpool. That was one that was touted by Preston City Wrestling.
Yeah, they wanted to do that, didn't they?
Yeah, but it rained, so they moved inside, or there was a threat of rain. It's spitting! But we'll go slightly off topic here, but I'll just think, I was going to say, I wanted to talk about the UK tournament. Like I say, you thought it was a decent show just going off the second night. Darren, you've seen both nights. What did you think of it? Obviously, you've got a slightly different point of view because you was there for the first night and watched it with me the second night at home on TV. So what did you make of it?
Well, for the first night, it was really, epic to be there and everything, and seeing all the wrestlers and I didn't know a lot of them. I know a few of them, but not big fans of them or anything. But for me, the second night felt more. The crowd loved it more. They were more up off the seats, and even the wrestlers, it was like a big thing for them. They really amped the pressure up a lot. It's told a lot of really good stories.
You could tell, like I say, it was basically their WrestleMania. You know, they put everything into it. Into the matches. Guys that tend to stand out in that case is obviously Tyler Bate. You got your Pete Dunne. You've got Wolfgang as well. Mark Andrews, I've seen work at that sort of rate before anyway at PCW. But that just shows you the rate that people tend to go at on a normal indie show in the UK. You know, they go hell to leather most times anyway. So
it's a good way for sort of indie promoters to capitalise off sort of for their promo stuff. It's like they get the book Tyler Bate or Trent Seven, whoever. Pete Dunne, sort of to advertise them as seen on UK tournament, WWE UK tournament, whatever.
Yeah, apparently they're trying to clamp down on that and using the logos on promotions as far. But I suppose if you use a generic font, there's nothing they can fucking do about it because you can't copyright lettering.
It's a generic font, but then it's sort of there's that thing of sort of using copyrighted images.
Yeah,
which I know they're trying to crack down on.
Yeah.
But that comes under the whole sort of thing about the British wrestling not being able to. In fact, you design their own fonts and stuff, so sort of stealing other ideas. But that's another story.
Well, this is it. This is where British wrestling has evolved in the last 10 years, isn't it? You've gone from fake Taker, fake Kane, fake Razor Ramon. You know, in these all-star kind of like advertisers. Look, American wrestling. We've all seen the posters, you know. Usually El Ligero's on there somewhere. But
for those, I remember when there was a show a few years ago in Fleetwood, and it was at like the Marine Hall.
They still go.
There could be another place to run a small show, so there you go, just name drop Fleetwood.
I saw a poster the other week, actually. Not the other, maybe a couple of months ago, and Bram was advertised for it. So
it wasn't so much that, but it was one of these where it's like American professional wrestling.
Yes.
And it was telling you the name of the person, and it's a such and such as Steve Austin.
Yeah, such and such as The Rock.
Kane.
Yeah, such and such as The Rock, and you just look at it and it says, hang on a minute, that looks like The Rock's dad.
Yeah. Wasn't there one at Lytham last year?
Yes, there was. We were going to go and we was going to invade it, weren't we? And then we just go with loads of obscene chants and keep going until we get thrown out.
But then we went, no, I can't be asked.
Yeah, we can't be asked for a minute.
Place I could have a show live with Brilliant.
Yeah. That's it.
For an indie company or something. So you've got essentially Fleetwood, Blackpool, Lytham. You can run shows in.
Yeah.
For smaller companies, so up and down. Sort of if they did afternoon shows, whatever.
Why not do a WCW sort of thing and have a show in Houndshill?
there's nowhere. They'd have to get rid of the sky thing, and even then, the ceiling's too low.
This is it. So, yeah, it would be fun to see. It would have been fun to see that. I'll be honest. My opinion on it is probably the best thing that's happened to British wrestling in the last, since World of Sport died the first time. If I'm brutally honest, it is the best thing that's happened. I mean, I sung World of Sport's praises a few podcasts ago, and now I've seen this. It really looks. This is what I'm going to explain it like. If this what we've just watched was the Premier League of British wrestling, World of Sport was made to look like the National League North. Not even non-league, it's a couple of leagues down the non-league. It was the production value, the action in the ring, the commentary,
the stories
that was presented, the meanings behind the matches. There was a reason why everything happened. Whereas World of Sports, look, here's a match, we're having a tournament. Here's a belt we've got no reason why we've resurrected. But there was a whole build-up and backstory and this, that, and the other. What would have helped a company like World of Sport was a one-off program. Say, look, this is the history of World of Sport. This is what we're bringing back. This is the belt that we've brought back. And here are the guys that are fighting for it. Introduce them that way.
Was there ever sort of really a World of Sport belt? Because I can't remember.
There was. I think there was.
Before my time.
It's before our time, but I'm almost certain that there was. Otherwise, what would we be fighting for? Do you know what I mean? If you're fighting a sport, he says in quotation marks, you're fighting for something or competing for something. So there must have been some sort of prize there.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, you look it up and let us know. We'll start running down a couple of matches anyway on the first night. I mean, I'm not going to go through the whole card because I don't want to spend all night talking about the intricacies of each match.
Just before you do, interestingly, Triple H has just sent out a couple of tweets.
Oh, go for it.
Well, within the past 10 minutes. First of all, was you just witnessed the beginning, ...
Yes,
and
we did.
Secondly was, but for now, Blackpool to London, back to the USA for Raw. No rest for the wicked, and the picture of him boarding a plane.
Fucking hell!
Like a jet, a mini jet sort of thing. So he must have
He must have a private jet. He must have a private jet at Blackpool Airport because there's no way he's got that quick.
So
he must have a private jet at Blackpool Airport.
I'm guessing so.
Unless he's got a fucking DeLorean or something.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean. Did you watch the first night, Adam? I can't remember if you said you did or didn't.
I had a chance to watch it.
Right.
I got back from Manchester late last night as I was out for a friend's birthday. Sort of got home, had a brew and sort of passed out in bed.
Ah, fair dues.
And then sort of today I got up, got dressed, had a shower, got dressed, and then sort of went straight out and was like, oh, it's a piece of music.
Yeah, what I would...
For a fiver. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I would do if I was you, mate, and I stress this to anyone who's a wrestling fan, listening to this and wants to catch it, sign up for the WWE Network. It's free for the first month. You have no excuse and you can cancel at any time.
And you get the Royal Rumble.
And you get the Royal Rumble for free in 2 weeks. So you've really no excuse not to do it. You sit aside 4.5 hours roughly, anytime you can, and watch night 1 and night 2 back to back, and it'll be the greatest introduction to British wrestling you will ever need. From there, go and look for your local promotions and maybe catch a show when you can and give British wrestling a chance, because it's not the corny shit that it used to be. It really isn't. Going from there, I mean, Darren, what matches stood out for you in the first night?
Trent Seven and HC Dyer. Trent Seven just really took it off for me.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back to that. It was the first night of the match of the night, wasn't it? First match of the tournament.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to remember it because there was a lot of shit that happened.
Well, Jordan Devlin, Danny Burch. That was very controversial.
Yeah, very controversial match that, because there was like a roundhouse kick to finish. Now, obviously, this is a bit of I don't know if I can call this a spoiler for you, Adam, because obviously you've seen the footage of the recap, so I'm assuming really isn't a spoiler because you're going to kind of know the results anyway. But there was he did a roundhouse kick to finish, and obviously he busted him open in the back of his head. But that was irrelevant for the finish of the match because the referee counted 1, 2, 3, and just as the referee touched the mat for 3. Birch, is it Birch?
Yes, Danny Birch.
Danny Birch lifted his shoulder up just as he touched the mat for 3, and he counted it obviously as a 3 count, which it was. But obviously, it's one of them where it's like the equivalent of football. What can I put? It was goal line technology was required.
It's one of them though. It's sort of when there was WWE tried that whole thing of they weren't telling the referees the finish, so it was up to them to sort of. To make it seem more realistic, and it's sort of they're always told if just count the 3, and if the 3 happens, then
it
happens sort of thing. It's more unpredictable.
That's their job anyway. It looks stupid, doesn't it? If they count 1, 2, slow it down.
Yeah,
you got to count the 3. You've got no choice. In this one, for me, it was really, really well done because it added a massive level of legitimacy to it. It's like, did he get pinned? Didn't he get pinned? Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like, it does add a proper legitimacy to it.
It's one of them things where in WWE, if they do count the 3, then that is it. It's been done.
Yeah, so we've kind of got what I can only describe as a streaker on the show. Darren's brother Nick.
He has not taken any of his clothes off,
even though I wish he would. But for me it was a good call. Like I say, it added legitimacy to the tournament. So yeah, I enjoyed that. It was good. Sticking out again from there was obviously the Wolfgang T-Bone match. I mean, I was just amazed to see what Wolfgang did. You know, he 250 pounded pulling off a moonsault.
Yeah.
And then into a swanton.
I've only seen Wolfgang, I think, maybe twice.
Well, I've only ever seen him every now and again on the ICW thing that I used to have. I used to have the on demand.
Well, he did one off in PCW, didn't he? I think for was it the last Road to Glory?
He was going to, but had to pull out, didn't he?
Yeah. It may have been another show I was at then. I'm sure he's appeared at least one PCW show before.
Possibly, I've not seen him, so it must have been one I've missed if he did. But yeah, I was very impressed with what I saw of him yesterday. Other than that, I had Mark Andrews. We had Mark Andrews doing his flippy shit.
You don't like Mark Andrews?
Flip-de-doo, bro.
Yeah, flip-de-doo-dars. Not a massive fan of him, to be honest, because there's only so many. Like, for example, he did a flip. The guy sat down and then did another flip to do a drop kick. Why just run around and just drop kick the fucker or bounce off the ropes? Do you know what I mean? It's flip-de-doo-dars for the sake of flip-de-doo-dars. You know, and
flip-de-doo, bro.
Yeah, exactly, flip-de-doo, bro. I don't get it. So I'm all for the flip-de-doos every now and again, but when they mean something, not just to say, "Oh look, I can do a flip. I'm going to fit one in." It's pointless. Absolutely pointless. And so I'm not a massive. I used to be a fan of Mark Andrews, but yeah, he's only so many times you can see a flip, and then he's like.
Trips has also just tweeted, but before I go, and he's tagged Pete Dunne and just put "wow."
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
I wonder if he's going to end up in the what? Well, I'll get into that later. But obviously, that was unfortunately our we had two hometown boys in the tournament. Drake and Sam Gradwell. Unfortunately, Drake was eliminated by Joseph Connors in the first round in what I could only describe as a kind of a stiff but a great match. Really good match, and Sam Gradwell managed to get through. But obviously, at the end of the night, he
beat Jesus.
He beat the Jesus, yes.
So I'm pretty sure he's going to be going to hell for that.
Yeah, I'd love to know how. Obviously, we watched a bit of the replay before the show this evening, and they've not edited that out. So I'm kind of a bit surprised because I think they're obviously going to get a few complaints from a few Jesus freaks in America. Oh my God, they're chanting Jesus, blasphemy! So, you know, I can see it coming. But yeah.
If you don't like it, don't watch.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Pete Dunne had a great match on the first round, but for God forbid, I can't fucking remember what he wrestled. I generally can't remember.
Pete Dunne. He wrestled Roy Johnson, which, for me, I didn't really know much about, so... But I liked Pete Dunne.
Yeah, Pete Dunne. Yeah, I enjoyed Pete Dunne, what he did.
Played his character right, and his moves and stuff he does is amazing, so I reckon he'd be signed up.
Yeah, we'll move on to that a bit later, though. But we'll move on to night 2 anyway. So, Adam, what was your general thoughts on night 2?
It was weird for me not having seen night 1, having just sort of read the
results.
The results, yeah. So we sort of was like a brief recap, which again sort of factors into that why they didn't do sort of 2-night tickets or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose I could have watched earlier today, but then I sort of had been out. I literally got up, got ready, had breakfast, and went straight out. And then by the time I got home, I had like an hour before night 2 was on. So.
So, like, so you're jumping in cold, going straight in. What did you think of the angle between Pete Dunne and William Regal and what have you?
I think it was needed, if anything, because it sort of sets up for future
storylines.
It sets up for future storyline stuff, but it's also what's the word? It sort of gives it leverage for it to come back again, and
there's all sorts of that's there to potential for storylines already, isn't there? So and that's just for 2 nights.
There's that, and it also sort of makes rather than it just being a tournament format of it's like this guy is attacking someone else, and so it's rather than just being sort of here's a match, now here's another match.
See, that's the problem. What happened with the Cruiserweight Classic? Why no one tends to give a fuck about it anymore? At the time, like, wow, we got flips everywhere. But now, no one really gives a fuck about that anymore.
Yeah.
So this is why I think the UK Championship is actually going to A, mean a lot more than the Cruiserweight Championship, and B, last longer in the memory.
I partially want to say a learning curve.
In a way, you're right, because it's been a long time since. It's been a long time since they had like tournaments not set aside for actual pay-per-views like King of the Ring and things like that. It's been a long time.
They failed with King of the Ring when they had crowned the person that always had to be a king afterwards. I mean, no one really wants to be a king afterwards. I mean, it killed Barrett.
It's a kiss of death, isn't it? The King of the Ring now. The newer, the more recent King of the Rings were the kiss of death, wasn't they? Really.
Well, Vinnie Max always hated King of the Ring anyway because it was filmed like sort of in that period between and SummerSlam.
Yeah.
And it also always did low buy rates and stuff, so he's never been a fan of it.
It was just something that was there, and then he got, first chance he got to get rid of it, he did. So, but yeah, we'll move on to some of the matches anyway that happened tonight. So obviously, our boy Sam Gradwell was up first against Pete Dunne and got basically fucking annihilated.
Yeah.
Pretty much, but he got
a few licks.
He got a few licks in. He got a bit of a. I can't remember if it was a plancha or something like that outside, which looked great, by the way. And to be honest with you, his match tonight was a million times better than it was yesterday. Much better than it was yesterday.
I think it was just because they were sort of grooming Pete Dunne.
Yeah, they are kind of
clear that he's.
Yeah, Triple H has got him on a leash and is dragging him this way through. I can see that's easy. I think Triple H has obviously picked him out and he's like, right, he's going to be my new pet sort of project sort of thing. I can see it coming. Moving on from there, what was the second night of the match? Was it Joseph Connors or was it Trent Seven? Can't remember. Anyway,
Mark Andrews and Joseph Connors.
That was it. Mark Andrews and Joseph Connors. That was a bit of an upset, I think.
Yeah, I wanted Joseph Connors to win that one. So.
Yeah, it was. Obviously, I'm not a fan of flip-de doos, but it was a half decent match anyway. So I'll give him that.
Moonsault kind of thing was good.
Yeah. I don't know. There weren't much to actually stand out in that match, if I'm honest. But it was at the same time. It wasn't awful either, like I say. So it was, it was a good, solid match, and nothing wrong with it. Moving on from there, obviously it was Trent Seven next, wasn't it, versus Wolfgang?
Yeah,
that was a great match.
Match of the night for me. A second match of the night, should I say? Yeah,
second match of the night. Yeah, because that moonsault off the guardrail was absolutely insane. What did you think of that match, Adam?
Which was that?
The Trent Seven Wolfgang match.
I'm looking for the caught bits of it.
Did you catch the guardrail moonsault?
I didn't.
Oh well, he sold the part of it where he injured his knee.
It looked like
it genuinely looked genuinely like he actually just fucked his knee up completely. So it looked great.
I heard the sort of commentary stood out for me was when I think Nigel McGuinness sort of said, "Oh, well, he was lucky he didn't catch his ankle there on the guardrail."
Yeah.
So it was one of the sickest bumps I've ever seen stand out for me. I think it was Shawn Michaels' Mankind not Hell in a Cells. In Your House '96.
Yeah.
And it's like he smashes his knee off the announce table or the ring steps or something. It just looks brutal. So
yeah, it was painful. But yeah, obviously Wolfgang won that in a great match, and then we had Tyler Bate versus brain's farting now.
Jordan Devlin. You're not Finn Balor.
Yeah, Diet Balor. And Tyler Bate won, which I thought it was half decent. It was a half decent match. Can't fault it. To be honest with you, it's going to be quite an easy review. Anything Pete Dunne turned to gold. Anything the same with Tyler Bate. It was just pure gold.
It's a strange tournament in terms of that most of them may have faced each other hundreds of times before.
Yeah.
But a few of them may not have ever faced each other before.
Yeah. Yes. Because obviously they work in different parts of the country, aren't they? I mean, Wolfgang predominantly works up north, where a lot of the Progress guys tend to work down south, so it is a bit of a strange one. So, just one of them. Then we have obviously the semis.
Something I just want to pick on. I was just refreshing, looking at all the results and everything, and some American website that I imagine it is called the UK Smarky Sing Song Crowd in the UK. Smarky Sing Song Crowd. No need for it.
Oh well, otherwise known as a Chicago crowd.
Yeah.
So yeah, go fuck you, America. But yeah, we got the semi-finals, didn't we? They were pretty decent. We had was it Pete Dunne versus Mark Andrews?
Yeah.
Yeah, we instantly said we're going into that match that Mark Andrews was dead meat. Absolute utter dead meat. You know, Pete Dunne was. We basically may as well have said that Pete Dunne was going to wipe his arse with Mark Andrews, basically, and basically that is what happened. There was a good bit of offence by Mark Andrews, but in the end he got fucking raped. So and then the second semi-final was Wolfgang versus Tyler Bate. Tyler Bate somehow getting the Tyler driver on him, on a guy that's nearly double his weight.
That was just whoa.
It was nice. That was nice to see. Another good match. Obviously, and it shows that Wolfgang can work with any style, and Tyler Bate can adapt as well. So yeah, I was very, very, very impressed by both guys in that match. So
nothing. It was good where we had Pete Dunne come out after the match.
Oh yeah, Pete Dunne attacked Tyler Bate, obviously telling furthering the story, setting up the story for the final. Obviously carrying on his story of beating up his opponents before the match that he faces them, which makes he's working into a gimmick, isn't it? So it does make sense, and he worked it really, really well. And obviously, William Regal came out and grabbed him basically looked like he grabbed him by his ear. He was like, "Oh, you get back in there now."
I was partially waiting for him to come out and just like, "Come here, little toe rag."
Yeah, come here, little toe rag. Yeah, get here. But I was sort of predicting in our little group that William Regal and Pete Dunne was going to have a match because Sam Gradwell was going to beat him some way or another. But obviously that never came to be, and probably for the better, if I'm honest. Then I call the buffer match happened. It was we had a surprise, the surprise from Neville, who turned up and wrestled what can only describe. Has he had a match in NXT yet?
Apparently so on live events.
Right, so obviously this is
on Pringles at the moment. So.
That's okay. So this was his TV debut of Tommy N. Now his NXT name escapes me.
Black.
That's the one. Yeah. So
We'll see the way they announced it. Strangely, Matthew of Botchamania fame sort of tweeted out how he thought it was weird that Neville wasn't part of this tournament.
Yeah, he did. Yes, he did.
He sort of tweeted for fuck's sake, and then all of a sudden on the second show, Neville comes out.
Yeah, it says, why the fuck am I not in this tournament? I've been overlooked again. And I mean, like, there was a picture that he posted where he's watching the TV. He's, oh, look, I've been overlooked again. The next picture is him putting his, basically, it's a broken TV. So, yeah. I wonder if he had some insider information there. But yeah, fucking spot on call there by Matthew anyway. But yeah, they had Tommy End versus Neville. And it was a pretty good match, I thought. I mean, it'd have been nice to see that Red Arrow in person. So I'm a little bit envious of Michael, who basically was stood underneath it. He was on front row hard cam. Obviously, mentioned at the start of the podcast, he was wearing the Travis t-shirt in front row.
Because when Neville came out and cut his promo, which I think was sort of, there's a few people said like, where's that been all this time?
Well, yeah,
his sort of promo skills. But when he started talking about whoever, I'll take on anyone in the UK or whatever, sort of from this kingdom, and I was sort of thinking, right, is it going to be Zack Sabre? As he sort of said this kingdom or continent, I was like, oh, it's Tommy End. It's got to be Tommy End.
Yeah, well, you mentioned continent. Yeah, is Tommy End English or is he actually Danish? Dutch.
He's Danish. He's from Dutch. Sorry, he's from Netherlands.
Oh, right. I actually thought he was just billed from there. He actually.
No, he's actually from there because he has his own kickboxing gym there, and he spent a lot of time over in the UK.
Oh, right, I see.
Working and stuff. But
see, that's what's confused me then. That's what's confused me. But yeah, so yeah, we had a Dutch guy in there. So, but yeah, it was a fucking good match, I thought.
Yeah.
Really good match. I mean, I can see Tommy End getting quite far, actually. At least, I can see him on the main card anyway, before next year's WrestleMania anyway. Hopefully.
I partially think this UK tournament's going to be a springboard for guys like Mandrews.
Yeah, this has been something he's been waiting for. I mean, he was treading water in TNA, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I
think they'll end up sort of working him into like 205 Live or something.
Do you know what? I bet he was fucking rubbing his hands together when his contract ran out at TNA. And all of a sudden, straight after that, we're announcing the UK tournament, it was like, fucking right then. So, yeah, he was rubbing his fucking hands together. So yeah, that's yeah. Obviously, then we had the final. Darren, what did you think of the final?
Well, it's the story was set up brilliantly. I mean, you had Tyler Bates with his arm and all this injured, and then Pete Dunne's going after it and trying to do all the moves out, trying to end them, and then just like no.
I mean, I thought he was going to tap, on the Kimura lock. I mean, the way he rolled through it and then re-locked it again. I thought, right, that was it. That's the end of the match right there. I mean, obviously he's fought out once. He's not going to fight out again. I mean, that's how it kind of works with these submission holds. But then obviously you fucking unleash that one-arm powerbomb. That was insane. What did you think, Adam?
Very good match by both.
Yes.
I partially wasn't expecting the kick out from the bitter end.
No, I wasn't.
And the brainbuster looked really brutal as well. It's sort of gone from looking like a brainbuster to being more like a suplex. And he's at a brainbuster. It's like no suplex.
Yeah, but then obviously he hit the brainbuster. I was like, fucking hell, isn't that a banned move?
Not so much that, but it's just the way he hit it and the way he sort of he landed with it. It looked like an actual like a brainbuster should do.
Yeah, it was like a quintessential perfect brainbuster, wasn't it? It's the way it should have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was quite say my jaw hit the floor. Daryl Toe was like, "Fucking hell, they've actually hit a brainbuster." An actual brainbuster. Next thing we're hitting power drivers and hitting people with chairs in the face. It's just I think it just shows you now how watered down WWE has become when it comes to censorship of certain things. I mean, obviously a simple move like a brainbuster, and you're out your seats thinking, holy fuck, they've done a brainbuster. That's a standard move, 5-10 years ago. You know what I mean? It's just one of them. Anyway, we got the winner of it at the end, Tyler Bate. I can only describe what was basically an upset victory, but it was the whole weekend leading up to it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it was... Obviously, he got the injured arm at the end of his semi-final. You know, you could have read it from there, you know, is he going to be fit, is he not going to be fit? The fact is, you knew he was going to win when he didn't tap out from Nakamura. It was clear as day. But it was so nice. It was such a nice little pop that he got from the crowd. And, you know, I was quite pleased when, the 1, 2, 3 was counted.
They were sort of about halfway through the match. I was like thinking, they're not going to have a heel go over this like the first time. No,
not first time around, no. But there's been a nice little rivalry there as well, isn't there, now that's brewing? So look, you hurt my arm and I still won. Yeah. So I can hurt your arm and I'll still win. Sort of thing. I can win without hurting your arm. This idea. See what's going to happen with this. So what do you think's now going to happen from here? Where do you think the UK Championship's going to go?
It's hard to tell now with sort of them having like the Rumble and then coming to WrestleMania season. It's one of the, is it going to have are they going to have ties with certain companies where they can defend the belt in certain companies, and then that match gets sort of shown on the network? Are they going to have how soon they're starting the weekly shows? And there's so many questions to answer.
Something that Triple H said on one of the interviews, I think on Facebook Live, he said something about what companies he would work for. He said companies that don't, like, they just give you their wrestlers money, give the talent money, do your job, see you later. Do you want the ones that cultivate them and bring them in and make them better and all this? And that's something that they were saying anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't give it long before they do start a weekly show, but I can't see it happening till after WrestleMania, because obviously the WWE are going to want all their focus on on WrestleMania and the WrestleMania season. After that, obviously, you're going to have a bit of dead space. Usually, you have after. That'll be the time to introduce a weekly show. In the meantime, to keep the UK Championship sort of relevant, I could see the WWE UK Champion being an entrant in the Royal Rumble.
Possibly.
I can see Tyler Bate entering the Rumble, not winning it, obviously, but being an entrant somewhere along the line. As for possibly even defending the belt at the WrestleMania pre-show or at Access.
I could see that happening.
Yeah, I could see that happening. So defending the belt again, obviously a Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate rematch would be cracking for a pre-show. Instead of having a fucking women's tag match, which means fuck all. Or rather than having Ryback Callisto again. Something, pointless like that. At least have a match that means something. I wouldn't go as far as actually put it on the main WrestleMania card at the minute. But, like I say, I can see it on a pre-show, and that would be nice. So obviously, that prove that WWE are keep taking the championship seriously as well, and including it on their main pay-per-views as well. Because obviously, it's not going to cost them a lot to fly 2 guys in.
No.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's that thing of sort of what are they going to? Well, because obviously they have they're going to do the WrestleMania Revenge tour after Mania, so sort of mid to late April, they're going to be coming over here and probably filming an episode of Raw and SmackDown and stuff like that. So is that going to factor in? Are they going to be defending the UK Championship on these Brit shows, or are they going to have deals set with Progress and stuff that say, yes, you can defend it they can have it appear on our show and defend it on our show?
You see, that's what I think they will do until after WrestleMania. I think they'll have places like what they've mentioned at ICW, at Progress, at maybe Rev Pro, places like that, where they will say this is a WWE sanctioned match. And say, right, he's defending it. And obviously, it'll be like a house show. The belt won't change hands or anything like that. But they can use it to build storylines up and maybe have a little bit of footage from Monday Night Raw. Or maybe say, look, here's a special match for the WWE Network and have a half-hour program or something just on the WWE Network just to start it off. Yeah. And then eventually, obviously, after WrestleMania, they can put more resources into a 1 hour, 2 hour UK show per week, possibly. We'll see where it goes. Because obviously, as well, don't forget they're going to more than likely they're going to be recording the shows and they're not going to be live. So they're going to need a bit of time, and this is what they could be doing. They could leave in some guys in the UK. They could leave Nigel McGuinness in the UK and hire somebody to announce alongside him, record a bunch of shows before WrestleMania, and then obviously whap them out after WrestleMania. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, there's no shows been announced or anything after this one that's been happened. But obviously, I think we need to keep an eye out on the WWE Facebook and what have you. Just because I can see that coming very, very soon, where certain venues are going to be advertising WWE shows just for the British talent. That's what I can see happening.
Oh, some are cashing in off it already.
What's that, mate?
There's some companies cashing in off the fact already. It's sort of like, oh well, you'll see them on the WWE UK tournament, but you can also see them here on our show.
Wow.
So,
anyone we know?
There's
don't know names, but unless you want.
Yeah, because one person might be only living in Preston.
Well, there's one company in Manchester and one company in Liverpool.
Okay.
That's sort of doing it, but it's fair play for them because it's going to sort of possibly drive more people to see them and make them more money and make the talent more money because no doubt there's going to be, we can do a meet and greet with this person who is on the WWE UK Championship.
Yeah, because he's a WWE superstar.
Yeah.
So yeah. For me, like I say, I can see the UK champion being an entrant in the Royal Rumble. I can see maybe the WWE UK Championship being defended on minor parts of the WrestleMania show, like Access, like the pre-show. I can see it possibly having the odd match on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. Just fly the guys in and maybe have, look, this is a UK Championship division match, maybe, because obviously you don't have to have the same guys on week in, week out. You can fly different guys in and out, for the odd match here or there. Or maybe they can, like I say, they'll just run shows in the UK and they'll just quickly announce it, knowing that obviously they sold out the tickets for the tournament in 8 hours. If they're going to go grab some TV tapings, they will sell out. They will sell out. Just off the back of the UK tournament.
It's a weird thing they're going into because they started with 16 guys, so it's like they're going to sort of need to eventually build on that.
Yeah, they'll expand.
16 and expand somehow. So
and this is where it becomes this is where the argument of this is terrible for UK wrestling is null and void. Because everybody's goal, I don't give a fuck who you are in British wrestling, your goal is to get into WWE. It's to get into the highest point that you can possibly get for your earning potential. And that place is WWE. At the end of the day, you could make a career out of wrestling in WWE.
Yeah. You
could be set for life in WWE. You know what I mean? And this is the first stepping stone to get into the big stage. And what a first stepping stone, because you've got the same exposure in the UK, especially now they've got a 1 hour show, as the cruiserweights do.
Oh, yeah.
On 205 Live. So you've got the same exposure, and these guys are going to think, right, well, I'm going to get exposure. all around the world. And if you can show your shit in the UK, people are going to take notice in Florida. Next thing you know, you get a phone call and you come down to can you drop what you're doing? Can you come to Florida and train in NXT for a few months, see what you've got? And the next thing you know, you're on NXT. Potentially now, like you say, they said on the promotion videos just before, obviously, the show, that it used to be like a 5-year trip around the world just to get your name even mentioned in a WWE meeting. Now, obviously, you can get, you're there. WWE is on your doorstep now. You know what I mean? It's essentially another area. Basically, it's a permanent scouting system in the UK.
Well, it's not just that, but it's in terms of what it's going to do for the UK as well. It's going to sort of bring trade in, especially for like if they do a show out of season.
Yeah,
it's going to bring people in from not just around the UK, but just there's been people that are coming from Europe and America to watch wrestling in Britain because of the WWE.
Yes, this as well.
The economy massively.
Well, this is it. I mean, this is something that Blackpool needs, something like that. I mean, I was talking to a taxi driver yesterday. He was saying he was non-stop with wrestling fans coming in from the town, going to hotels. He was non-stop. And he said, he actually asked me what time does it finish. I said it finishes at 10, so get yourself outside the Winter Gardens between about 10:30 and 11.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he's done with that, but I'm hoping he made lots and lots of money. So, and I'm pretty sure that he did.
Nice.
But, going forward, I can't see anything but bright lights for the UKC at this moment in time. Obviously, you've got the world of sport at the minute, and you've got What Culture, kind of making a stir, but now you've got WWE come in, and just basically dick slaps them across the face and went, look, this is how you're meant to do British wrestling with a budget. And
so going back to World of Sport, like we were saying before about the possibly a belt, there actually wasn't from the look of things.
There isn't a one.
There wasn't originally, no.
All right, that doesn't make any sense.
They said they was the first champion in 30 years
because it was the only probably the first match in 30 years. So yeah, that doesn't make sense. It's weird, that one, anyway. But yeah, what do you think it will do? What do you think it would mean for the UK indie promotions?
What, for World of Sport to have a belt, do you mean? Or
I mean, just promotions in general, like Preston City Wrestling, like Future Shock, like Hope Wrestling, like, so on and so forth.
Well, Future Shock, they have their own school as well. So they've always got people coming in through that way. And they seem to be doing more shows than ever, so I don't think they're going to be majorly affected. Again, same for like Progress. They've got their own schools. They're bringing their own people in. They have the student shows. Same for PCW. Like again, the show today I went to see, the majority of people on were from the
academy.
So. It's for no matches announced. I think the only names they had on there was Ridgeway, Kenny Williams, Lionheart, Bubblegum, Ashton Smith, and Martin Kirby, and the rest of the matches were all trainees.
But that shows you, though, everyone was saying it was a half-decent show, so that just shows you the quality of what we do have. Untapped potential, basically. So obviously, as it comes to local talent, obviously, I think it's going to obviously open more doors up for budding wrestlers such as our friend Ryan Hunter. But at the same time, I don't think business-wise it's going to go down too much because, like Darren, we were introduced to PCW thanks to in a way a pseudo import in Douglas Williams. And we've stayed because of the local talent. But, obviously, they're still going to have the imports coming in. They're still going to drag punters in. For example, say someone drags in, a promotion brings in Matt Hardy. You're going to get all your closet Matt Hardy fans to go and see that promotion, especially if they're in a local vicinity. of that promotion. Obviously, they're going to get the money that way. So that's how, obviously, that business model sort of works. Now, if you're a promotion that just completely relies on British talent and the big name British talent, that's where you may struggle a little bit. Obviously, until you build your own stars again, which would shouldn't take too long, especially if if your booking's good. It shouldn't be too big.
It's a strange one with What Culture bringing in their own sort of contract, being contracts for people, because it's sort of them having pressure from WWE and vice versa. So there's like Ligero and stuff have possibly signed contracts with What Culture. I'm not saying they have, but they might have, because they do their own weekly show or whatever. But they seem to have a lot of imports on as well, so they must have some sort of they must have quite a bit of a budget to be bringing in the amount of imports they're bringing in.
Yeah, because you get millions of views on YouTube all over the show. I mean, it's not just the wrestling; they've got like a gaming channel and all sorts. I mean, I was watching a top 10 video on What Culture of something to do with gaming, and fucking Joe Hendry was hosting it. So, they've got the fingers in many pies. So, fair play to them.
It's like with ICW. Like ICW they have their wrestling and they have the stand-up shows and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that they have their own like school as well, stuff like that. So it's, in terms of talent and stuff, I don't think there's going to be. It's not going to be like how it was a few years ago when like the only company about was sort of FWA or whatever it was.
Yeah. Free PW or something like that.
Yeah, was it one PW?
One PW, so not 3 PW.
So yeah, you had like the FWA, you had the UWA, which ran briefly in Blackpool, which was weird.
Yeah.
Because I remember going to see those shows at the Ice Drome.
Nice.
Well, nice.
And then you've got like the what the fuck was I going with this? I can't remember now.
Well, anyway,
train of thought completely derailed. Oh yeah, that was it. I was saying about company. Yeah, sort of. It's not, because it's sort of from reading past reviews like 1PW, FWA, not the best shows at times, stuff like that. So
it just shows you the progress that British wrestling's made, though, obviously, for WWE to justify making our own division and running it from headquarters.
Yeah.
So
it's one of those where it's sort of I'm wondering if they're going to sort of open up, and because they have like it started with the US champion, now they have the UK champion. So how long is it going to be before there's a Spanish champion or a French champion?
Mexico.
Yeah.
In general, just a European champion, possibly.
Yeah, I can see this happening, obviously.
But
I mean,
a more prestigious belt rather than like a mid-card of bloody Al Snow coming out from a different country every week.
Yeah. I mean, I said this on the last week's podcast. I mean, obviously the UK Championship has spawned, but where's the next place it's going to come? And I see the question, where was the hotbeds of the wrestling world? And we mentioned Japan. Now, I think that's obviously going to be the next one that I think that potentially could get tapped. But we shall have to see. Obviously, it all depends on if the UK Championship is a financial success. Obviously, if it's not, they're not going to do it. So we'll have to see and wait and see. Hopefully it's a success and whatever. We'll have to see.
We will, won't we?
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Can't wait for it.
And on that note, I think we're going to have to try and wrap things up. So just in a few words, just wrap up what you thought of the UK Championship, starting with Adam.
It's not so much what I thought, but if anything, it's just I sort of, it needs to be said, sort of can't wait to see more.
Yeah, I think that's yeah. How are you, Darren?
2 words: Mustache Mountain. I'm a new fan of 2 or 3 of the wrestlers there that I've not seen before, and I'm like, right, I'm going back and watching all their matches.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good sums up. I've literally say I've got 3 words from a an ex-WWE superstar. And all it is feed me more. And on that note, we'll call it a night. Thank you for listening. You've been listening to the RAD podcast. I have been Paul, the Hat Guy Flinders.
I've been Darren, member of the Moustache Mountain 2021.
He doesn't have a moustache.
That's why I said 21. I'm going to start growing it now.
He gets ID'd for lottery.
And I've been Coxie.
You've been listening, as I've already just said.
That's my line, you bastard.
Yeah, you've been listening. I'm pinching your material. No, I won't. No, you can keep that. You can keep that. Yeah, thank you for listening anyway.
That's how the cookie... Oh, wait. Crumbles? No, is that one?
Yeah, we'll just go with... thank you for listening. Good night, good morning, good afternoon.
Keep it rad.
Keep it rad, yes. Just remember, like you say, there are many podcasts out there, but not all of them are rad. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.